Hi everyone, I'm Welge and I'm going to be introducing you to the online resource of Padlet. So we as teachers commonly in our classroom use sticky notes on the boards to communicate ideas and see what students know, and there is actually an online resource where we can do this with our students, and it is called Padlet. Padlet is basically a great place for gathering ideas, sharing them, and modifying them later. It is a living, breathing webpage where we can add links, videos, images, and notes. So this resource can either be used individually or as a whole class activity. I think that it's geared more towards upper elementary, however, I think that it could be used for lower elementary as well. When using it for a whole class discussion, you as the teacher can make a Padlet. And then after you make a Padlet, you can share it with your students. So we're going to kind of look at what it looks like to actually make the Padlet. I've already created one, but I'm going to walk through just a little bit of what it looks like to create it. All right, so this Padlet in specific is talking about place value, and it's going to be a KWL. So we typically do this on paper, but this is how we can do it via the internet, which is really cool. This is what we know, what we want to know, what we have learned. But basically, how you go in here and modify is you start with adding a title, you put a description, you can add a wallpaper. I added my own because none of them were going with my theme of place value. And then you can make all of these changes to the font and whatnot. Then it gets to the good part. So for the posting, you can have the author name be displayed or not, which is kind of good for students because some students may be fearful that other students would make fun of them. So for their responses. So you don't have to necessarily have the author name, but if you want to see what students are posting, then it would be good to turn this on. There's also a profanity filter, which hopefully with your students you have the expectations to not use bad words. However, you can replace bad words with nice emojis, which is kind of funny. Then there's also this section of collaboration, and it's basically where you can have the option where there can be comments or reactions on the post. It's basically like a class Twitter feed, and students can share ideas, they can add comments, they can add reactions. It's actually pretty cool. And then how you share this with students is through a URL. And when you're doing this, you can actually customize the URL so that way it's specific to what you're talking about. So basically the Padlet is pretty simple to use, and it has so many ideas on how to use them. Literally, if you Google Padlet, it can be used in the classroom so many ways. So thanks for taking the time to learn a little bit more about Padlet.